Coach, I know it's a disappointing loss, but for Liam's school record for total yards by a quarterback, I mean, how impressed have you just been with his play?
Well, we missed some opportunities. I think that was evident. There are times where maybe we tried to throw a ball down the field a couple of times on a boot where we had a good number of yards in front of us, and we got to be able to do that. Just being able to recognize when that's the case, and now you convert a first down, and you're able to buy a new set of downs. Did make some plays, yet, in fairness, I think when you're down a couple of scores, there's a little more space or a few more yards. We got to get where we aren't down a couple of scores, and that's a team commitment.
So, Coach, when things are going the way they are on offense, like on defense, what do you focus on to help?
Fundamentals. Just work. And I mean, how good it was. You looked out there. There were some stretches this afternoon where 3 of the 5 guys on the back end were first-year guys, and for those guys to be able to, to be exposed to football, it's invaluable. And 2 of them were just in high school in May. So, play on.
Continuing on defensively, you feel like third downs are going to be a key issue this week?
Coming up this week, yes, sir. Absolutely they will, right? As they are every single week. And it's really, we kind of look at it a little bit more than just third. But, boy, you look at it today, boy, that's hard, man. You got to get off the field. There's a lot of that. Are there 3 or 4 times where it's a communication item? It is. A motion guy moves and a guy knowing exactly what's going on. We got it watered down pretty good. They just need to play.
So it's more experience for that group, you think, communication-wise, as the season goes on, the communication will get better?
I do. Yes, sir.
Coach, being able to respond time after time. I know you just talking about, being down a couple scores, it changes the mindset on offense, but just being able to come back, what does that say about your team?
Well, we hang in there. Yet that's not what our desire is for our guys, and yet it's invaluable for these guys to get there, to play, to be able to be there. We got capable guys. Do they need to get a little thicker? I mean, I think that was evident, just body-wise, and learn how to play a step faster, being able to recognize things and have that kind of anticipation to make more plays.
I just wanted to ask about some of the coaching decisions. First quarter, 4th and 4, I believe, inside the 10, and you go for it as opposed to the field goal. What was the thinking on that, and then the call?
Thought we could convert. Thought it may be a game where there were some touchdowns scored. And frankly, thought even if we didn't, that there was a long field in front of them, and they took it, and they, boy, what'd they eat, about 12 minutes there, 14 minutes, and end up with a field goal. Yeah. I just thought we were going to need touchdowns.
Okay. And then the 4th down call, obviously it was drawn up perfectly. The pass was there. But when you're throwing to a fullback, a little bit deep, that's obviously not something he does a lot. Was there a risk in that call that,
there was.
That you feel?
Oh, yeah, there was risk.
Okay.
I believed in the calculated risk that it would have a chance.
Okay.
And maybe it didn't, and we got to eat that. We got to live with it.
And then the other one would be onside kicking so early in the 4th. I guess why there?
At that point in time, we're going to execute a better onside kick if we get in that situation again, trying to grab a possession for us and one less possession for them.
Okay. And then the second half, it did look like the defensive backs, at least alignment, were closing a little closer to the line of scrimmage. Was that an adjustment, and do you think that can potentially help moving forward?
Could, yes, sir. Yeah, it sure could. Possibly. They need to see enough receivers come at them, and you try to resemble that in practice. It's not always the same, who they line up against. Perhaps it's going to be. Those younger guys are going to be good players here in a couple of years, but it's so good for them. And want to play man. The way they're going to grow and develop the most is to play man.
Where is the mentality of the defense right now after these past 3 games, I guess, just in general?
I think it stinks. I think the mentality of the defense is that we got to get it right. we're sitting here talking about how one play, one guy, and it's the same stuff, and we've got to get it right. We've got to grow up. Coach Calhoun said it last week. We've got to find a way to grow up. I think the defense still has the same mentality that we're the best defense in the Mountain West, that we can go out there every single week and have teams not score on us if we do the right thing. When we're firing on all cylinders, we're a pretty tough bunch. But when we're not, it's rough.
Yeah, each level needs to work on their own thing. Like, it's not one position group or anything like that. D-line specifically needs to contain the quarterback better and not have him pop out as much and finish and get some sacks. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how much can the pass rush help? You know, obviously next week's going to be a whole different story against Navy, but in these kind of games, you know, or are the, you know, is this kind of attack getting the ball out so quickly that it's just not really a factor?
I think we can get home. Some stunts we ran and the quarterback got outside, and if we contained him in the pocket, we could have got a pressure or a sack. And one of my plays, I popped out of a gap where I wasn't supposed to, and Fletcher could have gotten a sack there. So we're leaving stuff on the table by not running these stunts. So I think whatever the coaches tell us to do is the right way to go.
Third downs, do you feel like it's communication, lining up right, understanding kind of coverage? What's going on with the third downs?
I mean, I think if you ask Coach Knorr, we're a team that reps third down more than anybody in the country. We have a third down period, multiple third down periods, every single practice, money down. I mean, that's where we make our money, right? But it's also where you lose your money. If you're not solid and sound, you're not going to be able to get off the field, and they're going to be able to continue drives. And we got to capitalize when we need to capitalize.
Yeah, Fish said it most. I got nothing else.
You know, when you guys get into so many third downs, you know, how difficult is it when you have opportunities to get off the field and you can't, just to be able to maintain a positive mindset?
Yeah, I think it's frustrating. I think anytime you let up a big play or let somebody get a first down, you're never going to be happy, right? That's the mentality as a defensive player. But the other mentality is that next play, right? You can't think about what happened. You think about it, you fix it, you get it done, and you come watch it on the iPad later on the sideline. When you get off the field, you can't next play up. You can't really think too much about it.
You mentioned communication, and that was a huge point of emphasis last week. And then, you know, everybody we talked to talks about communication. Why is that? I guess, is it just because things are happening on the fly? Like, for those of us who aren't on the field to understand that, why is that taking a while to implement when it's obviously a focus?
I think communication is a big part of anything, right? Any facet of life, you need good communication. We have a defensive scheme that requires a lot of communication. And then when guys aren't communicating, it's not working well. We've got to know, the linebackers got to know what the D-line are doing. The D-line have to know what the linebackers are doing, and linebackers with the safeties. Like, everyone has to be on the same page. And if you're not communicating, you're not going to be able to be on the same page. You know, some defenses can go out there and play their own ball and do whatever and be good, and that's okay. And some defenses are going to thrive like that, but we're not a defense that's going to be able to thrive like that. We have to be on the same page.
Liam had the most total yards ever by an Air Force quarterback. I mean, when you being out there with him, what is working so well with him right now?
I think he's just playing overall great football. I love to see it. I love to see him improve each and every week. But at the same time, like, as a whole, as an offense, we have a lot of things we need to work on. We knew this was a good crew coming in and that we'd have to play physical. I don't think we did some things right, but we'll get back on top of it for this next week.
Yeah, seeing Liam do his thing is really impressive. Seeing him, put his head down, not afraid to get yards, like between the tackles, it's pretty impressive. But, like Cade said, we gotta get back to work. We gotta focus on the things that we can control, and that's really all we can do from this point.
Do you feel, as an offense, almost pressure to be perfect, given the way things are going right now?
No, not at all. We know what we're capable of, and we know we have guys that can make plays. So it's just doing your job each and every play. Try not to be a hero. Try not to do something you're not capable of, because we know what we are capable of is good enough. So just trying to do our job each and every play.
Yeah, something Cade says quite often, control the controllables. We can only control so much. We can control how hard we push, how hard we block, how fast those are the things that we can control, and that's what we just got to stick to.
Cade, you mentioned you felt like there was little things you guys didn't do well today. Just in your mind, what are some of those things that you want to see corrected?
I think, just the little things like making the right footsteps or stepping in the right place, making blocks, being a little more physical, making our eyes a little better when we're tracking guys to block or catch a ball, just little things like that. There's always room for improvement, and that's what the joy of this game is getting better each and every week and working on those things.
You personally have over 400 receiving yards this season, over 100 rushing yards. Do you feel like you're maximizing your abilities in this offense right now?
That's the goal, try to do the best I can for our team. But again, I'm going to look at the film and see a lot of things I did wrong today that I'm going to have to work on this week to get ready for a good Navy team.
How much confidence are you guys banking as an offense from these games? I know that you're not getting the wins, but later in the season, do you think it'll pay dividends when there are some situations when you do need a late score to pull ahead?
Yeah, I think we definitely do get some confidence under our belt. We're definitely starting to get comfortable in what we're doing. But at the end of the day, we got to execute and we got to finish. Like the first 95% of a play could be perfectly fine, but if you don't execute the last 5, it's not going to be a great play. That's what we got to do. We got to finish, and that's the things that down the road, if we don't finish and we don't correct, it could give us some problems.
Were you seeing a different defensive look? Because obviously they did keep you bottled up for about 3.5 quarters or whenever it was in the fourth quarter. Like, do you sense that people are taking notice of what you've done and playing you differently?
Maybe a little bit. We knew coming into this game what they were going to run, and they came out and just that. We knew what to expect as far as physicality, and they were a good defense and played us well, so I just got to give credit to them.
And on your touchdown, Liam held it for a while before he pitched it out to you. As the pitch back in those situations, like what's the mentality of knowing a quarterback's going to stretch it out as long as possible and just staying ready?
Honestly, it's a little tough, not knowing if he's going to, dive up and put his head in there and keep the ball or pitch it. On that play specifically, Liam took a shot, and without him taking that shot, I wouldn't have scored. We also had Matt Long on the perimeter making a great block. So without those two guys, that wouldn't have scored at all. But yeah, definitely a little difficult, getting the ball late on those pitches.